Welcome everyone. Today on What Would It Cost, we have our special guest, Alec from Park Place Properties. Welcome, Alec.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's so good, man. Good to see a familiar face. We've known each other from back in the day, from doing events.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it. You guys are doing wonderful things here.
Thank you.
So we run a vacation rental property management company, mainly out of Miami and Toronto. We're in different regions like Scottsdale, Dallas, Vegas as well. We just launched South Carolina and Calgary. But yeah, we're basically your typical vacation rental property management company. If you have keys to your home, your condo, and you're looking to rent out your property, maximize the income, you come to us, you hand over the keys, we take care of everything from A to Z, and we maximize your returns.
Cool. Amazing. And I want to go a little bit back further. Obviously, you know, I just mentioned we know each other from back in the day and the hospitality world. So tell us a little bit about that and you know, how that transition happened and how it all tied in.
For sure. So prior to the hospitality and us working together, I went to school for hotel management, ended up graduating, got a job at the Ritz-Carlton. I was working there for a couple of years until I started to realize, like, you know, I'm working here as a server. I'm making more money than my managers. So it's like, you're going to work a couple of years, work your way up, and it's for what? You know what I mean? You're not really, you're making 60 to 80K a year at that point, but you're working your tail off, right? So ended up leaving that job. Then I connected with Nick. We opened up a club called Same Nightclub. Had some great times with the guy, but on the side I kept hearing about Airbnb. This is still like 5-6 years ago, right? So nobody really knew about Airbnb back then. So I started managing a couple of my family's properties, which led into, you know, me taking over some of my friends' properties, and then obviously through the hospitality network, through the nightclubs, restaurants, etc. Grew my network pretty wide at that point, and I started promoting myself, like, hey, look at the money we're making, and at the time it was even more profitable than it is now, because nobody knew about it, right? It was a lot less saturated. So started to kind of build our portfolio from there. We had about 30 properties until a friend of mine from high school, Matt, told me, hey, have you heard of Google Ads? This is kind of like, you can take your business to the next level. So I'm like, don't know anything about it, but if you can take care of it, would love that. And here we are today with 450 properties.
Wow, that's wild. That's 450 between both provinces, and now also in Arizona.
Yep. Scottsdale, LA. Like I said, we just launched Vegas, Dallas, South Carolina. So hopefully the portfolio will continue to grow.
Wow, that's amazing. Expand a little bit on what were some of the things that you had to overcome, perhaps from moving from out of Ontario into other markets, and perhaps was it kind of a copy and paste what worked, and because the markets were more receptive or it grew? Maybe speak a little bit on that.
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't actually plan on expanding into the US or out of Toronto for that matter at the beginning. Toronto was our home base. That's what we did. We knew what we were doing well, and we knew the area really well. COVID hit, obviously. Canada shut down. You weren't even allowed to leave your house. It was tough because one of the regulations that they put in for the Emergency Act was no short-term rentals. So I called my partner. I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, this is supposed to last like 2-3 weeks. It's like 3 months now. We're losing money here. Our clients are not very happy. I mean, it was nobody's fault. It was, you know, the regulations, but he's like, what are you going to do? You're going to sit at home and not do anything if we close up shop? He's like, we can't do that to our clients either. Like, they're kind of relying on us for this income. I'm like, okay, but we got to do something. So push comes to shove. We start looking into different markets. Miami is where we landed. We couldn't travel outside of Canada at the time, so we couldn't actually come here. So we were trying to do everything a little virtually, like makeshift, you know what I mean? It was, we were trying to put something together to generate some more revenue. And Miami was a hot market. So we ended up hiring a property manager here part-time, just until we kind of grew it. We started running some ads. it was hard. It was hard not being able to leave the country. We don't have a US bank account. Like everything had to be done virtually. Like it was crazy. So we ended up getting a couple properties, but it was kind of like stale. You know what I mean? We weren't growing the business fast enough. It wasn't growing as previous to COVID, how Toronto was growing. So we knew we had to make some changes. And I always bring up this phone call because it was kind of like the TSN turning point of the company. We got a phone call one day. It was a noise complaint for one of our condos at 1200 Brickell Bay. And there was a lady on the other line, and my partner Nicole had picked up the call, and they're like, hey, your unit's being noisy. Can you ask them to keep it down, this, that, whatever. Fast forward 2 weeks, somehow we end up in a meeting with them for about 3 hours. They had 10 properties that they were managing. We obviously know the back end super well. We can expand any city that we go into through marketing and regulations. We know that, and we had the background, right? So push comes to shove, they were like, you know what, we'd be interested in partnering with you guys. My partner was for it. I was not. I'm like, you know what? I'm not splitting my revenue with anybody. Screw that. This isn't happening. He ended up convincing me. Best thing we ever did, because the property manager that we had, you know, everyone at the time was on stimulus. Like people were lazy, right? You're not going to be wanting to work for somebody else. You want to build your own business. So we ended up partnering with Jesse and Henry down here, who had 10 properties to themselves already. We grew the portfolio in Miami to 180 at this point. And that's when we learned, okay, maybe this franchising revenue share model does really work well. And we replicated in Arizona, then Vegas, Dallas, Scottsdale. Well, that's Arizona. And now everywhere we're kind of going into.
Amazing. So really hearing like being able to create collaboration and bringing your strengths to the picture and matching them with local partners, and that's what grew that expansion so rapidly.
Because essentially it's their business as well now, right? So they have a vested interest in growing that market because it's their market. So it worked out well.
Very cool, man. Amazing. Good job. And for the viewers, the $1 million question that we're going to bring up is, what would it cost for markets like Miami? So starting up, if someone wants to buy, what will it look like on you call it cash on cash?
Cash on cash, baby.
We're having a chuckle about that. Your cap rates, we refer to it. What would it look like in some of the markets that you've now expanded to, and maybe share that with us?
For sure. I mean, Miami is definitely, I would say, the golden boy when it comes to cash on cash. This is where you're definitely going to generate the most. It's an expanding city, right? It's not just because of COVID that people were migrating here. This has been happening for 10 years prior to COVID as well. COVID just boosted it, and COVID's over and it's still going on, right? There's a lot of people moving to Miami, such as yourself, as myself. Everybody that I speak to wants to go to, I go to the dog park here, and everybody's from out of state. They're from Delaware, they're from New Jersey. So it's definitely an expanding city. What would it cost? So we can break down a property, say somewhere in Brickell. I always recommend going 2 bedrooms plus, because 1 bedrooms are saturated. There's a easy barrier of entry there where you're going to be able to pick up 1 bedrooms easily. 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms.
Your one plus dens, are they around?
1 plus dens, because you can convert. In Miami, the condos are so big, or the homes are so big, that you're able to convert that den into a bedroom as well. Yeah,
because condos here are a bit different in size. Like we've stayed at some, and shoeboxes in Toronto.
1 bedroom is 1,200 square feet here.
It's big
in Toronto, a 1 bedroom is about 550 square feet. So take a 2 bedroom plus unit in say Brickell. You're going to be able to pick that up for $750,000 to $800,000. My rule of thumb is furnishing is the most important part of short-term rentals, because the better you design the place, you're going off one picture, right? There's one picture on booking.com, Airbnb, VRBO, all these platforms. It's that first picture that you see that pulls you into that listing, and then you start looking into the rest, right? So my rule of thumb is the furnishing should always cost 1 month's rent that you're gonna be generating. So a 2 bedroom, say you're making around 15 to 18,000 a month, you're gonna furnish the place for 15 to 18,000. So once that's all taken care of, property taxes, mortgage, all that playing into a factor, your busy season, like I said, you're generating anywhere between 15 to 18K. Slow season slows down for sure, about around 6 to 8. So you're averaging around 10 to 12 throughout the year on a monthly revenue basis. And if you actually break down those numbers, you're about 20 to 25% cash on cash.
So your rule of thumb there, you go more so about by revenues versus occupancy as well. You're thinking more so like forget about how many occupancies, because sometimes in your high season that will bring your numbers up as well. So that's more important.
Exactly. So we could talk about average daily rates versus occupancy, but the overall number is what the property is going to generate, right? So the cash on cash here at the cap rates, they're pretty phenomenal. Obviously, there's other markets that do well as well, but here it's always the yield is a lot higher. Only because the purchase of the property, although it's been going up for the last 2 years, it's still relatively affordable. You know what I mean? Like a 2-bedroom condo in Toronto is $1 million plus now. Here you're looking at 750, 800, and these are nice places, a lot of size as well, right? So you're really able to maximize and generate cash flow here.
Got it. And thinking on condos specifically, maybe elaborate a little bit now that we're talking about Florida, for some building rules. In Toronto now, things are ever changing every year. There seems to be some sort of change, and now it's about occupancy, if you're not occupying it, etc. What are some things to look out on that end for people here in Florida for condos specific, now that we're on that topic?
Even homes, there's regulations for homes as well, right? So if you're in a certain HOA or a certain condo that doesn't allow for short-term rentals, highly advise against it. People try to do it all the time. You're going to get caught. They're always going to catch on. It's not worth investing all that money, and you have to pause after 3 months. Now, there's a long list of buildings in Miami that do allow for short-term rentals, and there's 485 Brickell, which is the W, 1200 Brickell. There's Yotel Pad downtown Miami. All these are, I would say, 80% short-term rentals, 20% owner-occupied, and the yields on these buildings are phenomenal. Now, you do have to apply for a license to rent out your property on a short-term rental basis here in Miami, but there's no limit on it. Like in Toronto, for example, you can only have one per person. Here, you can have as many as you want. We have one client with 18 licenses. You know what I mean? All in one building as well. So you can do, it's free game. They make it easy for you here. It's nice. It's nice having those sort of regulations on your side.
Very cool. Anything else that you would mention for someone that's looking to get into, if it's not just condos, maybe for homes, anything that you would think of when I think of maybe property tax or insurance and things like that?
So you're gonna have property tax, you're gonna have insurance. Obviously there's gonna be property management fees involved. I always like to set aside around, for a home, for example, anywhere between $500 to $800 in maintenance on a monthly basis. We are now starting to cover that with a third-party insurance that we've brought in, but it's always better to be on the safe side when you're penciling out these deals, right? So you're looking at property management, you're looking at maintenance of the property, insurance, like we already said, property tax.
That's great.
But that pretty much rounds it all off, right?
Talk a little bit about what it looks like, what Park Place property takes, what people get in return for that.
For sure. So one of the key things that I think we excel at most is our revenue management. So you call us, you have a property in mind prior to purchasing, or after you've purchased as well. You call us. We get all the numbers from you, what your mortgage is going to cost, what interest rate you're paying, how much you're paying down in your debt. We take into factor, like we just said, property tax, insurance, and our commissions. There's also platform fees that you have to pay for. For example, Airbnb charges the host 3%, charges the guest 10%, VRBO charges the host 5%, and so on and so forth down every platform that we're on. So we pencil out the deal for you. We put it through our algorithm that we've created, and it basically spits out how much you're going to generate on a month-by-month basis. Now, after that process is done, you hand over the keys. We onboard the property. We go through everything from the dishwasher serial number to what type of nest it is or thermostat. Everything we videotape just so we can have it in our backend database. So if anything does go wrong and a guest has any questions, we always have a reference point to be able to best answer them.
Or also what I'm hearing is a foresight to see if something is older, that, to prepare, just like, let's say you would with maintenance fees, how corporations prepare for something going wrong.
Exactly.
Cool.
And beyond that, if something does go down, we don't need to call in the appliance tech to come in, take a look, go get a part. They can just order the part right away because we have that information available to us. So that being said, once that process is done, we go ahead and list your property. Once your property is listed, it's live. We send you all the access points that you can have. Everything that we see, you see as well. You have access to your calendar, the reservations, the amounts that it's booking at, what platform it booked through. So you get access to all of that. And so things that we cover once we get to that point is the cleaning, the maintenance. If there's any maintenance that needs to be done after a checkout or while the guest is in there, if they're asking for more towels, et cetera, we take care of all that. We take care of all the post reservation cleanings, all the guest communication, make sure that they check in correctly, they check out properly, they're satisfied. We always want that 5-star review because that's what's going to really generate your income. Those reviews kick the algorithm in on Airbnb specifically, and if you're on the top 10 pages, you're winning, you're golden. And of course, as I mentioned, our revenue management. So we go ahead and price for seasonality, but also special events, even the smaller events, like in the Little Havana, for example, there's a parade that happens, we're priced for that. You know what I mean? And it kicks it up, say even by 50 to $100 a night. It still affects your bottom line if you have enough of those.
Yeah. So all of that, which is an extensive list, and also what I'm hearing is you're not just kind of, you start the job, let it sit, let it perform or do its thing, and then at the end check out. You're almost there, massaging it and looking at how we can create a even bigger bottom line. For sure.
Our main goal is to maximize your income, right? We want to make sure that if you're giving us your property, you are going to be earning more than any other investment that you have in your portfolio. Definitely more than any other property management company, but mainly our goal is to deter you from renting out your property long term, because there's so many factors that kind of play into effect where you have a tenant, you can't kick them out, they're stuck there, you can't use the property for yourself. Imagine being a snowbird and you want to use the property a couple times a year. You're paying for your vacation essentially. So all that is 20% of the rental revenue. We don't take our commission on cleanings, we don't take commission on service fees, we don't take commission on anything else. Strictly, if it's priced at $100 a night, we take $20, you keep 80. So
cleaning is separate. So it's $100 cleaning, and what other things would be on top?
Yeah, so cleaning is separated. It's paid directly by the guest. So say the reservation is for $1,000, 5 nights at $200 a night. The guest is going to pay an extra $100, so it comes out to $1,100. So it's no charge to you, doesn't affect your bottom line, and it goes to cover, when we first bring on a property, we send in our cleaner with the onboarding team to kind of look at it and judge how much is this going to cost, not only for the actual cleaning, but also restocking the property. So we make sure that every bathroom has shampoo, conditioner, soap. Of course, we have dish soap, laundry detergent, paper towel, toilet paper. We make sure that we cover all your cleaning expenses in that cleaning fee, so there's nothing out of pocket for you.
Got it. And then you're also bringing that back in your overall initial consultancy to make sure that you're almost getting bang on what that bottom line is for the person.
Exactly.
Walk us through, what will it cost if let's say you're making 100,000, Park Place Property takes 20%. Run us through that.
Yeah. So say your property generated $100,000 for the year in rental revenue. Now, aside from that, there's also cleaning revenue that is generated. In those cleaning fees, what we cover is the restocking, the actual cleaning of the property. That's aside from the actual rental revenue. From that rental revenue, what we do deduct is the service fees for the platform, our 20% commission. And if, for example, there's any damage that's been done to the property that one of these OTAs, these online travel agents, is refusing to cover the maintenance of it for, say, wear and tear purposes. Accidents happen when guests are in there.
Most of them are actually pretty good with. I've had that experience. Even when I had a couch that was going towards the end of its life, they actually gave us funds to say, hey, you want to upgrade this, and we were at an Airbnb plus status, so that's what happened on that end. So
exactly. So the platforms are very good with their insurances. Now, does it always cover all the costs of the damages? No. So that's why currently, yes, if there's any additional damages that are done and it's going to take some additional work that the platform's not covering, then that would be a cost to the homeowner or the landlord. Now, we are taking steps to get away from platform insurance. We've actually brought in a third-party insurance called Rental Guardian, and what we're able to do is charge a little bit extra on each reservation. Again, like the cleaning fee, it goes directly from the guest's pocket, doesn't affect the rental revenue at all. And what we're able to do is ensure that 100% of all your damages, no matter how bad it is covered. Whether the house burns down, there's a flood, and you have to replace everything, you're 100% covered with this third-party insurance. Rental Guardian's been great. So we've been testing it out, A/B testing it with a couple properties, making sure that they do what they actually say before rolling it out to the rest of the portfolio.
So if we have 100,000, 20% is taken. The cleaning fee gets taken from the 80.
No, the cleaning fee is aside from the rental revenue, because the way these online travel agents work, for example, it's if you're looking on Airbnb, you're looking for this house and you see the price at $1,000 a night, you're going to get charged $1,300 for
this cleaning fee.
It's the cleaning fees on top, right? It's a separate line item. So when I speak about rental revenue, it's strictly rental revenue. Cleaning is a separate thing where it goes directly from the guest to the cleaner.
Amazing, Alex. So where can people find you?
So you guys can find me at www.parkpl.co. Give us a call, shoot us an email, and we'll more than happy to manage the properties for you.
Thank you for tuning in today. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to YouTube or your preferred audio platform. Until next time.